Hi, everybody. Stephen Ugan, Firebase Missionary. I wanted to reach out to you to talk about one of our weekly outreaches. I have actually a testimony that comes out of Jesus Burgers. This is from this week at Jesus Burgers. And before I do that, I want to make a shameless plug for weekly outreach. Weekly outreach is an opportunity to practice sharing the gospel in an intentional and deliberate way. And I would suggest to you that until you take the step of committing to deliberate outreach for a season, it's going to be very difficult to enter into lifestyle mission. And lifestyle mission is how Jesus lived. These are, I like to say, weekly outreach is like the training wheels for lifestyle mission. And so I'd encourage you. We have 9 weekly outreaches at the Firebase. Many of our church partners also have weekly outreaches. If you're part of one of those church partners, please participate in your local church's outreach. But if your local church doesn't have one, or it's on a day that you can't go, we would encourage you to try out one of the 9 weekly outreaches at Firebase. And you can find out more about those at firebasemovement.com. But this is about Jesus Burgers. Jesus Burgers is our Tuesday night outreach. I lead it, and I have several other assistant outreach leaders that I'm raising up to eventually plant outreaches of their own that are also partners in that. And this is a story about a guy named Michael. First of all, I want to say, we are literally seeing salvation happen on a weekly basis at this outreach. It's very relational. It's very organic. We basically do a pop-up restaurant in the middle of Dinkytown, and hundreds of students come every single week. We give away about 300 burgers a week and get the opportunity to get into very relational conversations with people, ask them questions, get to know about them, their lives. And of course, when we start to ask them, they start to ask us, and we get the opportunity to share our testimonies, to share the gospel. This young man, Michael, very interesting story, musician, kind of eccentric, been in drugs, been on the streets. For, I want to say, about a year at least, he has become aware that God is pursuing him. He came to Jesus Burgers last week and had a conversation with one of the messengers, and that messenger really shared his testimony and unpacked the gospel to him. It deeply impacted him. He also has been following. So this is like the sovereignty of God. Last week, he gets witnessed to by a messenger at boot camp. During the week, on Saturday, he finds out that a musician that he's followed for a long time, years. In fact, I think it's safe to say this musician was like an idol in his life. He's like, I love this guy. This guy's my guy. You know what I mean? I've followed his music for years. He said, you're not going to believe what happened. And so he tells me this story. He came to Jesus Burgers this week, sits down in front of me and relays this whole story to me. And he says, this guy's been producing like wicked, narcissistic, hedonistic music for like 4 years, or no, for many years. And then for 4 years, he didn't produce any music. And all of a sudden he came out with a new album like recently, and it was all worship. So this guy he had idolized actually got saved. And he found out about it. And then all of a sudden he's like, I believe that this is all true. And he has a born again experience. So he describes like his heart gets warm. He feels peace. He has no desire to do drugs. So he literally got born again the week in between Jesus Burgers. And then he comes back to Jesus Burgers, and the Lord's like, explain to him what happened to him. So I unpack my whole testimony. I go through the whole gospel. I talk about the baptism of the Holy Spirit and the born again experience. We end up praying for Michael. I mean, broke a bunch of generational curses off of him, did some deliverance, did some healing prayer, prayed just for a fresh infilling of the Holy Spirit, and began to disciple this guy. It's unbelievable. This guy has we just believe this guy's got like a high calling. He's an evangelist. He's already been telling people about God ever since this happened to him this weekend. Just telling everyone who will listen to him, and he doesn't even understand the gospel. It so reminds me of like how I came to the Lord. And so the Lord, in his graciousness, brings this guy to Jesus Burgers, saves this guy sovereignly, not even at Jesus Burgers, brings him back to explain what happened to him and now get him discipled. He's actually coming to a local church mobilization that I'm doing this weekend. And he's already started to read the Gospels. I just got a text from him. He's like, I'm reading the Gospels and you're right. It's like, I know it's all true now. I know it's all true. This guy got super saved and now he's getting discipled. Is that amazing? I'm telling you, this is happening every week at Jesus Burgers and at outreaches all throughout the week. Please don't miss the opportunity to partner with God. The harvest is so ripe. If you want to get connected to an outreach, please go to firebasemovement.com. If you want to give to Jesus Burgers, it costs us about $700 a week to do this outreach, somewhere between $2 and $2.25 a person. Please go to the Firebase website and donate to Jesus Burgers. There's a drop down for Jesus Burgers. You can donate there. I'll probably put a link maybe even in this video so you can donate to Jesus Burgers. But come on and be part of what God's doing. The harvest is ripe. Literally, the laborers are what we need. Be a worker in the vineyard. It's a wise way to spend your time. Love you guys. Also, shameless plug for Messenger Bootcamp starting up soon. Go to the website and sign up if you haven't. I know a bunch of you are supposed to go and haven't gone yet. Don't miss it. Get equipped and get into the harvest because it's coming.